Hey guys, I'm back again with another Flute Center of New York review video. So the time has come for me to get a new piccolo, and I figured I'd bring you along for the ride so you can see my process. But before I do that, I wanted to remind you of all the awesome perks that I have for you guys with the Flute Center of New York. Of course, if you're flute shopping, you get free shipping, an extended trial, and an extended warranty. If you are making a purchase over $50 on sheet music or accessories, you get free shipping. You also get 10% off sheet music and free shipping, of course, on the Flute Center of New York Fluter Scooter Bag. Okay, let me go back and tell you what kind of piccolo I am looking for. I purchased my piccolo about 11 years ago at the NFA convention, and I got a Burkhart Phelan, which, by the way, is not made anymore. They just continued that. But it has been an amazing piccolo. I, however, have outgrown it a bit in the last couple years, so I need something that has a fuller low and high register, more overtones, and flexibility in the sound. So here's my dilemma. I am not sure yet if I'm going to go with just a head joint, and I can just put it on the body that I currently have, or if I'm going to go and get an entirely new piccolo. The great thing, of course, about a head joint is it's cheaper. However, what I don't want to have happen is do that, and then in a couple years I feel like I have outgrown that and I need an entirely new piccolo, and then I'm ultimately going to be spending more money. What I'm going to do is I'm going to set up the trial. I'm going to show you guys how I do that. Then I'm going to do the actual trial and show you guys what it is that I'm looking for in a piccolo, and then, you know, hopefully it works out and I find the perfect one and I fall in love with it and I'm able to purchase either the head joint or an entirely new piccolo. Now what I'm going to do is call the Flute Center. I'm going to speak with Emily. You can of course call and talk to anybody. Everybody's very experienced and knows what they're talking about, so you will be in good hands no matter who you talk to, but I will be talking to Emily. The plan is I'm going to tell her what piccolos I'm looking at and that I'm looking at both a head joint and a full piccolo, as well as what my price range is, and I'm going to ask her a couple of questions that I have about the trial. Hey Emily, how's it going?
Hey Gina, it's great. How are you doing?
Good. I'm so thankful that you're able to hop on a call with me and talk about my trial I'm setting up with you and answer some of my questions.
Yeah, I'm happy to help.
Awesome. Well, thank you. So I've explained a little bit of this through email, but basically what it is currently I have a Burkhart Phelan piccolo. It's been wonderful. I've had it for a little over 10 years, but it's kind of time for me to upgrade. I need something with a better low register, high register, something more full, something with a little bit more flexibility, and just, you know, like an upgrade. So basically what I'm looking at is probably maybe either a head joint or an actual full piccolo. Obviously, as you know, the head joint is going to be a lot more affordable than a full piccolo, but at the same time, I don't want to have to go and repurchase another instrument to upgrade in like 2 years. So I kind of want to try both of them, put the head joint on my current piccolo, try brand new full piccolos, and see which one works for me.
Yeah, I think that makes perfect sense. We can definitely send you a mix of new piccolos and new head joints and to see what you end up liking best.
Okay, awesome. And so basically, I just wanted to let you know my price points, just so you know what to grab. I'm thinking probably around $2,000 for a head joint, and then probably around $8,000 for a full piccolo.
Yeah, that sounds great. And it's good for us to know so I don't pull like a gold key piccolo that would really challenge your price point.
Right, of course. Awesome. Well, thank you. So I have a couple questions that are both for me and then anybody who's doing a trial, just so that everybody knows what they're getting into.
Sure.
So if I use my code Gina, or if anybody else uses it, I'm wondering, 1, how much does a trial cost? 2, how much is shipping? And 3, how long is the trial for?
Sure. So the trial itself is always free at the Flute Center. So that's the good news. If people use the Gina code, they will get free shipping, which is a really nice perk. Yeah. We do charge the shipping up front as a way of verifying any new client's credit card. So if you've never worked with us, the salesperson will ask for your credit card and we will charge, but we always refund that charge when the trial is returned, or if somebody buys what they have on trial, we'll take it off the cost of that item. So that's pretty easy. And then our standard trial is 7 days, but with the Gina code, you get an extra few days. So the trial is 10 days instead. And that trial begins when you actually have the items. So the day 1 is in a couple of days when you get them, and you can keep them for the full 10 days and send them back on day 10.
Awesome. So it usually takes a couple days for you guys to ship out the instruments, or what is the usual wait time?
Yeah, so it definitely depends on what you're looking for. I know right now we do have some piccolos and some hedrines in stock that you may like, so I can ship those to you right away. We use 2-day shipping, so it'll just be 2 business days from now that you receive them. We can also delay it, so if that doesn't work for your schedule, you can tell me which day you'd prefer to receive the items, and I can kind of make a note to myself and ship them out on that day for you. But if you wanted something very specific that I didn't have available, it's either maybe it's on a trial with another client, or maybe we are waiting to get more in.
Right.
That might delay things a little bit more just because we have to get the items. But yeah, it's pretty case by case.
Okay, awesome. And then when I'm shipping things back to you, how do I go about doing that?
Sure. So that is super easy. I'm going to create a prepaid return shipping label to include with your trial. So
Awesome.
when you get the trial, you'll see it's like right in with the paperwork.
Yeah.
And when you're done with your trial, you can use the original box I shipped to you in and pack everything back up, add the return shipping label directly on top of the label that got the flutes to you in the first place, and then either call FedEx or bring it to your local FedEx.
Okay, that makes things a lot easier. It's always annoying for me, like if I do returns on Amazon and then I don't have the box, and that's like a whole thing. So that's great that you guys include all that.
Yeah,
Awesome.
honestly, we've all been there, so we want it to be as easy as possible. You're busy trying to find your piccolo. You don't want to have to like find a printer and figure out how to make a label and all of that. We just take care of it.
Awesome. Yay, that makes it so much better. Okay, so I want to compare several different instruments, as I know most people do. How many instruments can I actually get at one time in a trial?
We usually limit the instruments to either 3 or 4. It depends a little bit on the price point. So if you're looking at if you're in the budget for an all gold flute, we do have kind of about $100,000 limit on each individual trial. That's kind of just tied to our insurance policy. But for most people, like people trying to step up flutes, we'll usually slip a 4th flute in if they ask. And for piccolos, we can certainly do 3 or 4. Just depending on how many are available and what exactly you're interested in.
And now that you're talking about insurance, one of my questions was, what do I have to get insurance when I'm doing the trials? It sounds kind of like you guys have insurance set up.
Yeah, so we have a very inclusive policy. If you have anything on trial from us, it's still covered under our insurance, as is all the shipping. So you're liable just if you never call us again, or if you break the flutes, you are liable for that. But if something really crazy happens, we do have insurance.
Okay, cool. And speaking of that, I don't know if this is in your insurance policy or your personal policy at the Flute Center, but let's say I have a concert or a rehearsal or something and I have the trial during that time. Am I allowed to go and bring those instruments with me, or one of those instruments, let's say, to the rehearsal or concert, or is it something that I should leave them at home just to be trying at home?
So this is a really personal decision. We do work with professionals who it's super important that they get to try the instruments in the context of their orchestra, or college students who really want to feel what it's like to play this new instrument in their collegiate setting. So we leave it pretty open-ended, but you are responsible for the instrument. So especially when we work with younger students, we usually will encourage the parent to keep the instruments at home. You don't really want to be sending somebody to high school with 4 brand new flutes. It's a little bit of just a risky play, but if you're an adult and feel that it's safe and responsible, then it's totally fine. We actually encourage people to play the flute or piccolo in as many contexts as they can, so you can really get a good idea of if it'll work for you.
And I'm guessing, especially for the younger students, you say to keep it at home, but it would probably be a good idea for them to at least bring it to their lesson, though, so that their teacher
I'm glad you bring that up. So sometimes we have students whose teacher requests the trial for them, so that is pretty easy, and then they don't have to worry. But if the student requests it for themselves, they should definitely bring it to a lesson. That's kind of a different thing, but I can even imagine a parent bringing the flutes for the lesson if it's at school and then bringing them home just to be extra cautious.
Yeah, that makes sense, especially because you are responsible for them, and if anything were to happen, you don't want to be worrying about that.
You are, yeah. So you are responsible for the instruments, and we want them to come back to us in excellent condition, like new. So that's an important thing to be careful about.
And I'm sure this goes without being said, but you should probably not have your friends go and play on your trial instruments.
No, we would be happy to send any of your friends who are also looking for flutes their own trial. And once in a great while, people will kind of share trials if they're both in the market. But for the most part,
but it should, like a controlled setting, probably. Like a controlled setting that it's like, oh, the friend comes over to the house and they do it there. It's not like you go into your band room and then the entire
pass out the flutes.
The entire flute
Please
session.
don't do that.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure we got that out there. Another question that I have for you is, if I don't find something that I absolutely love in the first trial, is that all I get? Can I do another trial? How does that work?
Yeah, so if you are still looking, you're still seriously on the market, we will send you another trial. If you like half of your trial, but you are now curious about something else, like let's say I send you 2 Burkharts and a Powell and a Homig, and you didn't think you would like one of those, but you did, and you want to compare it to more, you can hold on to the things you're still curious about, and we can set up a follow-up trial with more of what you need. So that's something to just be in touch with us about. Sometimes we'll have like a wait list on an item, and it's really important for us to know the approximate timeline, but we tend to be as generous as possible, so people can compare.
Yeah, I mean, that's really important, because it's really hard to just try one or a couple instruments and know for sure that that's what you want to go with.
It is really hard, especially if you don't get to come to the store and we're doing it all by mail. It's not uncommon for it to take more than one trial. Sometimes people, if you have a pretty good idea of what you want, sometimes people do decide in one. It's not uncommon, but it's also pretty normal if you're looking in this higher price point, especially, that we understand you might need to try more than just 3 or 4 piccolos.
Got it. So when I'm doing my trial, I know that it a lot of times will come with a polishing cloth and a cleaning cloth. Am I supposed to use that to clean the instrument when I have the trial?
So first, I love that you're going to clean the instrument that you have on trial. That is top notch. That is what we want everyone to do. So keep that in mind. But I'm glad you asked about the cloths, because we ask that you don't use the cloths that are in the cases. There's most of them have a little sticker that has our logo and says, please don't use the cloths. But even if there isn't one, only use a Flute Center of New York cloth. Don't use any other branded cloths, because they're new. And if you use them, they're not so new. And I have to contact the company and buy a new one. And it's a little bit of a hassle. It keeps me from putting together more flute trials.
Okay, got it. Okay, I'll make sure to not do that. Okay, so if I am purchasing an instrument, the first question I have is, the ones that I'm trying, is that the actual one I would be purchasing? And if so, do I just keep it and then pay for it, or do I have to send it back to you before actually purchasing it?
Sure. So one of my favorite things about the Flute Center is that we don't do demo models. Okay. It's not part of our philosophy. We want you to actually get to buy the instrument that you actually try. So presuming that the piccolo is perfect and you don't need any little adjustments or tweaks to it, you can just keep the one that you love. Give us a call, let us know that that's the winner, and we can deal with payment, but you'll keep that one and send everything else back.
Okay. If I'm purchasing something that's a little bit more expensive, do you guys offer financing?
We do. We work with 2 different companies. The first is called Allegro Credit. They do really great shorter term financing that can be 0 interest.
Oh, awesome.
Then, so they're really good if you know you're going to pay it off in a pretty short time frame. If you want some more extended financing options, we work with Noteworthy. They specialize in professional instruments. So the piccolos we're talking about today will certainly qualify. And it's really like any flute, kind of $4,000, $5,000 and up.
Okay, got it.
Can qualify in general. And all that info is on our website.
Okay, awesome. Another question that I have for you is I have some different flute accessories that I potentially might want to try with it. So like a Lafrique or a thumb port or like a bow pep. Are those okay to do on the trial, or would you say it's not a good idea?
Sure. So we ask that you not use any kind of accessory like the Lafrique, Bopep, thumb port on any new instrument that isn't yours yet, because they can leave scratches, and that's just the reality. Everyone who I know who uses them doesn't really care because they're so helpful for their hand position. But for these brand new flutes, we just don't know if the person who buys it is going to want a thumb port.
Right.
So we ask that you hold off. We do offer trials for Lafriques. Okay. We just want you to use them on your own flute. So first I would say buy the flute or piccolo, figure that out. And then afterward, once you have your favorite instrument, ask us for a trial of Lafriques. We'd be more than happy to send them to you.
I've heard some people talk before about like they just want to try a platinum flute because that's obviously really fun, or they want to try like an Altor bass flute because they don't own one. Can I actually do a trial of those if I'm not actually looking to purchase one of those instruments?
So I really wish that we could send all of our instruments to everyone to try because they're so beautiful, but we really do have to reserve the trials for people who are truly on the market. Otherwise, when it comes time for you to buy something, we will not have any new flutes left. Yeah. They will all be basically used because they'll have gone out so much. So we do ask that people limit their trial requests just to flutes that they're seriously considering buying, that they have a budget for, that they've really discussed it and made their decision. Otherwise, you can always visit us. We're happy to pull all kinds of crazy flutes, like super expensive things, or just really fun bass flutes or whatever. If you come to our store, we're happy to do that. So everyone should take a trip.
Yeah. Well, and also at the flute convention that they have every single summer, that's also a really great place to go and try whatever flute or anything that you're interested in that you're not actually wanting to purchase.
Yes, and we travel to shows pretty much all year long. We go to shows all over the country. We were just in California and we'll be in Utah this summer. But if you really want to try our flutes and you are part of a big flute studio, you can talk to your teacher and have them request that we visit.
Oh, cool.
And then we'll bring flutes. We'll see if anybody wants to try something specific. If anyone is on the market, maybe you'll have colleagues who are, and maybe we can set up a trip. So be in touch with your teacher and have them reach out to us.
Awesome. Good to know. Well, thank you so much for setting up this trial for me. I'm so excited to see what you end up sending.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear what you think of these instruments. Let us know if you have any questions or need a follow-up, or if you find something you love. We'd love to hear that too.
Okay, awesome. Well, fingers crossed that I will end up finding the right one.
Great. Thanks a lot, Gina.
Thank you so much. Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye. Today is the day. It says on the tracking that the piccolos are supposed to be here today, and I can't wait to try them out. Thank you guys so much for watching. In my next video, I will show you all about the trial and how I look for a particular instrument, and then hopefully, fingers crossed, I find the one that I like and I'll show you how I come to that conclusion. Thank you again to the Flute Center of New York for sponsoring this video, and I will see all of you guys again next month.